Thanks for joining me for this module on communication planning. In this module, we will cover the following topics: the definition and importance of project communication, methods of communication, communicating to key stakeholders, types of communication, and we'll cover team meetings. Communications management is about keeping everybody in the loop. The communications planning process concerns defining the types of information you will deliver, who will receive it, the format for communicating it, and the timing of its release and distribution. It turns out that 90% of a project manager's job is spent on communication, so it's important to make sure everybody gets the right message at the right time. Communications technology has a major impact on how you keep people in the loop. Methods of communicating can take many forms, such as written reports, conversations, email, formal status reports, meetings, online databases, online schedules, and project websites. If all the parties to the communication are taking part in the exchange at the same time, the communication is called synchronous. Getting a team together at the same time can be a challenge, especially if they are spread out across many time zones. Many types of communication do not require that the parties are present in the same time. This type of communication is asynchronous. There are several choices of asynchronous communication, such as those on the screen. The most common, obviously, is email, and social media or text messaging would likely be a close second. You should consider several factors before deciding what methods you'll choose to transfer information. The timing of the information exchange or need for updates is the first factor. The technologies available to you should figure into your plan of how you will keep everyone notified of project status and issues. Staff experience with the technology is another factor. Finally, consider the duration of the project and the project environment. And how does the project team function? Are they located together or spread across several campuses or locations? Throughout the project, you'll need to communicate to project sponsors, team members, potentially other stakeholders such as customers, clients, suppliers, partners, and the public. The first step in thinking about your communication plan is figuring out what kind of communication your stakeholders need from the project so they can make good decisions. Your project can produce a lot of information. You don't want to overwhelm your stakeholders with all of it. Your job is to figure out what they feel is valuable. Communicating valuable information doesn't mean you always paint a rosy picture. Communications to stakeholders may consist of either good news or bad news. The point is that you don't want to bury stakeholders in too much information, but you do want to give them enough so that they're informed and can make appropriate decisions. Can you think of any stakeholders that are missing from this list? So how do you create a communication plan? First, identify your stakeholders, the people who really matter in your project. The second, identify the stakeholder expectations, the why. Identify the communication necessary to satisfy stakeholder expectations and keep them informed, the what. Identify time frame or frequency of communication messages, the when. Identify how the message will be communicated, the stakeholder's preferred method. This would be the how. Identify who will communicate each message. This is also a who. Document items, templates, formats, or documents the project must use for communicating. As you can see, communication can be very complicated. The importance is really step one. Know who you need to communicate with. And a second, also closer, is what are their expectations to be communicated with throughout the project. Team meetings are a necessary part of any project. The key parts of a team meeting are, really the purpose is to verify progress, identify challenges faced within the project, and get assistance where needed. Frequency and duration may vary throughout the project. Working with stakeholders, you'll be able to determine how often you may need to meet. An important part of team meetings is being considerate and schedule offline meetings if only a few are involved in a particular item. If you bring everybody in at the same time, it wastes a lot of time. So sometimes short meetings are the most effective with just a small group of people. Frequent, very short meetings may be more effective with a small team, such as a daily stand-up meeting, which is a normal part of what's called an agile system. The last, project managers may need to meet and report with other project managers in the same program or portfolio. Modern communication technologies make it possible to assemble project teams from anywhere in the world. Most people work during daylight hours, which can make synchronous meetings difficult if the participants are in different time zones. It is important to remember time zones and calculate the difference between yours and your associate zones correctly so as not to miss important meetings or deadlines. Cities and countries to the north or south of each other all observe the same local time. Be aware that many well-educated people in the United States and Canada think of South America as directly south of North America. As you can see, South American countries can be up to 5 time zones east of North America. Here's the summary of this chapter. Project communication is a key success factor. Identifying who requires communication, also considering the method of communication, creating purposeful team meetings, and respecting work hours may not be the same for everyone. So if there's any questions, we can cover them in class. So I'm going to read to you the case study, and this will be something that we can cover in class. So this is called Bridging Time Zones, the Riverside Revamp. In the town of Rivertown, beside a small river, a construction project was underway that promised to transform the town's riverside area into a vibrant hub of recreation and culture. The project involved the collaboration of a renowned design firm called Confluence Architects, a seasoned construction company, Rivertown builders, and the local government. Confluence Architects had designed a breathtaking riverside park with walking paths, amphitheaters, and scenic viewpoints. The design was a masterpiece on paper, but it soon became apparent that the real challenge was not the construction itself, but the communication between the 3 key players. The team members were scattered across different time zones, with Confluence Architects headquartered in New York, Rivertown Builders based in California, and the Rivertown government officials holding the fort in the central time zone. This geographical distance created a major hurdle in real-time communication. Despite the promise of technology to bridge gaps, communication issues quickly surfaced. Meetings were scheduled at awkward hours, leaving participants either sleep-deprived or distracted by their surroundings. As the days passed, frustration mounted as project updates were lost in translation or delayed, causing misunderstandings and misalignments. The stakeholders, including the eager townspeople, were not kept informed of the project's progress, leading to growing anxiety and discontent within the community. Questions were unanswered, and rumors started to circulate. Recognizing the urgent need to address the communication challenges, the project manager organized a virtual summit. At the meeting, each team member voiced their concerns and frustrations, and it became clear that they needed a new approach to ensure better communication and transparency. What I'd like you to think about is, how would you fix this project? What have you learned in this module that you could use to turn this project around and get it on track.